What if I told you that right now, quietly, clinically, behind lab doors and legal language, we've unlocked the ability to rewrite what it means to be human? Not metaphorically, not spiritually, but literally. To edit intelligence, to alter temperament, to remove undesirable traits before a child even takes their first breath. And here's the part that should make your stomach tighten. This isn't science fiction, it's science fact. It's happening now. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why CRISPR might be the greatest medical breakthrough in human history, and why it might also be the most dangerous social and moral experiment we've ever run. CRISPR is often described as genetic scissors. I mean, that's kind of misleading, because scissors cut, CRISPR edits. It doesn't just remove genes, it rewrites instructions. It changes how cells behave, how proteins form, how the body and brain develop. In simple terms, CRISPR gives us the power to correct DNA errors. Mutations linked to cancer, inherited disease, immune disorders. Sickle cell disease potentially gone, inherited blindness reversed, certain cancers prevented before they exist. On paper it's beautiful, but that's not where the real conversation begins. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. We don't fully understand the genome. Genes are not single-purpose switches. One gene can influence immunity and intelligence. Another can affect muscle density and emotional regulation. When you fix one thing, you might disturb 3 others. CRISPR can cause off-target mutations, epigenetic ripple effects that appear generations later, unpredictable brain development changes, altered emotional or behavioural traits. And here's the most unsettling part. Some consequences won't show up for decades. A child edited today may appear perfectly healthy, but their children, or their grandchildren, or even 5 or 6 generations into the future may inherit something we didn't foresee. We are making permanent edits to a system we don't fully understand, and it's without an undo button. So who decides what better means? Short stature, autism spectrum traits, high aggression, low aggression, introversion, neurodivergence. Who decides which one of these are flaws? History has answered that question before, and it didn't go well. Eugenics hasn't disappeared then, has it? It's evolved. It used to come through governments and coercion. Now it may come through markets and choice. No one will say, you must edit your child. Instead, the question will quietly become, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make them taller, smarter, more resilient, more competitive? And slowly, choosing not to edit becomes framed as irresponsible. That's how eugenics returns, not through force, but through preference. CRISPR will not be universally available though, I don't think. At least at first. Which means the earliest beneficiaries won't be humanity, they'll be the wealthy. Imagine this world where rich children genetically reduced their disease risk and enhanced their focus, optimized their metabolism, and possibly improved cognitive baselines. The poor children, on the other hand, had the natural genetics, greater environmental stress, no access to enhancement. That's not social inequality, that's biological class separation. And for the first time in history, wealth wouldn't just influence opportunity, it would influence DNA. And once that divide exists, how do you close it? Because DNA is not just data, it's evolutionary memory. It's survival strategies written throughout millions of years. It's trade-offs. Sickle cell disease also protects against malaria. Anxiety once kept humans alive in dangerous environments. Certain neurodivergent traits have driven mathematics, engineering, and artistic breakthroughs. When we edit genes, we aren't fixing isolated bugs. We are altering trade-offs we barely comprehend. If correcting blindness is moral, what about enhancing eyesight beyond normal human range? If preventing disease is good, what about increasing intelligence? If reducing suffering is ethical, what about reducing sadness, fear, and intensity? At what point does compassion become curation? Struggle has always shaped identity. Limitation forces growth. Uncertainty drives purpose. If your temperament is selected before birth, if your resilience is engineered, if your cognitive ceiling is chosen, what happens to character, earned confidence, the dignity of overcoming? Do we risk creating humans who are optimized, but hollow? Perfectly tuned instruments with no music left to discover. Evolution works because it doesn't know where it's going. It experiments blindly. And CRISPR replaces randomness with intention. But intention reflects present values, and present values are temporary. What we optimize for today, efficiency, productivity, and compliance, may be the very traits that weaken us tomorrow. By editing the genome, we freeze our current worldview into biology itself. That's not just progress, that's arrogance encoded into DNA. CRISPR may eliminate suffering, but suffering has also produced art, wisdom, empathy, courage, and meaning. If we remove every sharp edge from existence, do we also remove what makes life worth living? I mean, look at history. Would the world have had raw emotional intensity from Eminem without poverty, instability, and chaos? His pain didn't just hurt him, it created art that spoke for millions who felt invisible. Would we have witnessed the ferocity and later self-awareness of Mike Tyson without the trauma and rage shaping his early life? His darkness forged both destruction and depth. Would the generosity and resilience of Dolly Parton exist without growing up in deep poverty? Her hardship refined her empathy. Would Elvis Presley have reshaped culture without growing up in the tension and struggle of the American South? His imperfections fueled a revolution. Would we have the dreamlike masterpieces of Claude Monet if he didn't endure grief, instability, and deteriorating eyesight, which transformed his later paintings into something almost abstract and transcendent? These were not optimized lives. They were chaotic, imperfect, human. From unpredictability came greatness. Now imagine smoothing out temperament, reducing aggression, minimizing sadness, balancing risk-taking. Do we still get revolutionaries? Or do we get stability at the cost of intensity? If we choose to design ourselves, who are we designing for? Efficiency, market value, comfort? And what happens when we realise we designed the wrong thing? Every civilization is judged by the limits it chose to respect, not by what it could do, but by what it refused to do. CRISPR forces us to decide, are we caretakers of life or designers of it? And the stakes aren't just societal, they're existential. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and just a quick shout out to our sponsors. Strong Coffee Company, protein-packed coffee for energy and clarity. Use code VANCRUX1 for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com. And then there's More Labs, clinically proven hydration and recovery drinks. Use code VANCRUX1 for 25% off at morelabs.com. And finally, liquor gummies, electrolytes and vitamins for hangover prevention. Use code VANCRUX1 for 20% off at liquor.com. That's liqure.com.